Welcome to another day of learning at Southgate. Today we get to work on some vocabulary, finding those interesting words that help us better enjoy and understand a fantasy story. This time it will be a story about Owen. We'll also work on preparing a space for our writing. That will be in a separate video, but something you'll also complete today. So taking a look at our new story, we're continuing our Kevin Henkes week, and so this is a story about Owen. This one's a Caldecott Honor winner, so it's really a well-known book with some great illustrations and story for us to enjoy. As we're reading, we're going to do something new called our Alpha Box. You have a sheet of paper like this. If you don't have it out, go ahead and pause the video and grab that. We are going to be filling in some vocabulary words here when we come across interesting words that we might want to practice using in our own writing or just in speaking, words that we really find interesting that we want to learn more about and start using in daily conversation. Owen had a fuzzy yellow blanket. He'd had it since he was a baby. He loved it with all his heart. Here I see an adjective, a describing word. Owen had a fuzzy yellow blanket. It wasn't just yellow, it was fuzzy. It helps me kind of get a picture in my mind of what that was like. That'd be a great first word to add to our alpha box. I'm going to find my F for fuzzy. Fuzz. Ooh, this time it's a double Z. Fuzz. E. The Y makes the E sound at the end. Fuzzy. So you can pause your video and write that word into your alpha box as well. A word that you might use to describe something in the future. Maybe an animal you might describe as fuzzy. But here it's his blanket. Fuzzy goes where I go, said Owen. And Fuzzy did. Upstairs, downstairs, in between, inside, outside, upside down. Everywhere Owen goes. Fuzzy likes what I like, said Owen. And Fuzzy did. Orange juice, grape juice, chocolate milk, ice cream, peanut butter, applesauce cake. Those are all great things for a kid to eat, but not so great to be on his fuzzy blanket. Now it says Fuzzy's messy. So you can see Mom and Dad are going to need to wash Fuzzy. Isn't he getting a little old to be carrying that thing around? Asked Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of the blanket fairy? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. That night, Owen's parents told Owen to put Fuzzy under his pillow. In the morning, Fuzzy would be gone, but the blanket fairy would leave an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific, big boy gift in its place. Ooh, I see lots of words there. It might be interesting to write down. Absolutely. Positively. All good describing words. Words that kind of give us emphasis in our story. I'm going to pick to write down absolutely. You can pick some other words too if you'd like, but I'm going to find my A spot and put ab, break it into chunks. I can look back, make sure I'm spelling my vocabulary word right. Ab, so, loot, lee. Get that lee ending at the end. Absolutely. For sure. Owen stuffed Fuzzy inside his pajama pants and went to sleep. You might be thinking to yourself, what's he doing with this blanket down his pants? Are you trying to hide it from the blanket fairy? Maybe he doesn't want it to go anywhere. Look how proud he is of himself. No blanket fairy, said Owen in the morning. No kidding, said Owen's mother. No wonder, said Owen's father. I think they know what he's up to. I think they've figured out his trick. Fuzzy's dirty, said Owen's mother. Fuzzy's torn and ratty, said Owen's father. No, said Owen. Fuzzy is perfect. And Fuzzy was. We got some more describing words there to describe Fuzzy. He's torn and ratty. Ratty isn't a word you use very often. It means something that's like falling apart. It's gotten quite old and isn't in good shape anymore. Fuzzy is looking less fuzzy and more ratty, more torn up. Fuzzy played Captain Plunger with Owen. To the rescue! Fuzzy helped Owen become invisible. Bet you can't see me. Ooh, invisible. That's a fun one. You could make a creative story about being invisible. Invisible. More interesting vocabulary words to add to our alpha box. And Fuzzy was essential when it came to nail clippings and haircuts and trips to the dentist. Ooh, essential. That's another interesting word. Essential means something you absolutely need to have. You can't go without. Essential. Like food and water, we think of as essential. You absolutely need those to live. But he's saying that his Fuzzy is essential. He absolutely can't live without his Fuzzy. And here I'm making some connections with Sheila Ray, connecting with him trying to be brave the same way she was trying to be brave in her story. Fuzzy helps him feel brave. Can't be a baby forever, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of the vinegar trick? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. When Owen wasn't looking, his father dipped Owen's favorite corner of Fuzzy into a jar of vinegar. Owen sniffed it and smelled it and sniffed it. He picked a new favorite corner. Ooh, I often use the word smell if I'm describing what I do with my nose, but sniff is a new kind of descriptor I could use. It's kind of a little sniffing over and over, smelling, instead of taking one big breath of something, taking little smells of it. So sniff could be another interesting vocabulary word I could use. Sniff, and in this story it happened in the past. He sniffed. Then he rubbed the smelly corner all around his sandbox, buried it in the garden, and dug it up again. Good as new, said Owen. So I'm seeing here that Owen would rather have a very, very messy Fuzzy than go without it. To him, remember, it's essential. That vocabulary word, he absolutely has to have it. He feels like no matter what condition it's in. Fuzzy wasn't very fuzzy anymore, but Owen didn't mind. He carried it and wore it and dragged it. He sucked it and hugged it and twisted it. Everywhere he goes, Fuzzy goes with. What are we going to do? Asked Owen's mother. School is starting soon, said Owen's father. Can't bring a blanket to school, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of saying no? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. I have to bring Fuzzy to school, said Owen. No, said Owen's mother. No, said Owen's father. Owen buried his face in Fuzzy. He started to cry and would not stop. Don't worry, said Owen's mother. It'll be all right, said Owen's father. And then suddenly, Owen's mother said, I have an idea. It was an absolutely vocabulary word that we put up there. For sure, absolutely, wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific idea. First she snipped, and then she sewed, then she snipped again and sewed some more. Some of you might be wondering, what is Mom up to? Look at Owen's face, he's so sad that she's cutting up his Fuzzy. But she said it was an absolutely perfect plan, so Mom must have an idea. Snip, 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 sew, sew, sew. Dry your eyes, wipe your nose. Hooray, hooray, hooray! Oh, instead of one big fuzzy, look, Mom made a whole bunch of little fuzzies. Now Owen carries one of his not-so-fuzzy handkerchiefs with him wherever he goes. Now, instead of having a big blanket to carry around, he carries around just a little handkerchief. It's kind of like a Kleenex that you use over and over. That's what a handkerchief is. And Mrs. Tweezers doesn't say a thing. Why do you think it is that Mrs. Tweezers thinks the handkerchief is okay? What do you notice about her? Do you think that might have been special to her? Maybe she had a fuzzy when she was younger? Or it could just be that she has a handkerchief and doesn't even realize it's Owen's old fuzzy that Owen has. But either way, she doesn't mind now. She knows he was able to grow up and take just a smaller version of Fuzzy and still be happy. Look at all these interesting vocabulary words. Absolutely, essential, fuzzy, invisible, ratty, sniffed that we added to our alpha box. You can keep this box. You have lots of open spaces and you can put more with the even boxes that we already have one word in. You can add more as you're reading from your school books this week and next week. Looking at our jobs, we got to add some interesting vocabulary, talk about some interesting vocabulary and put it in our alpha box from Owen. And then you'll get to do the writing job here in just a little bit in our next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.